If I can answer that in 2 words. Karen Carpenter died this morning at 9:51, the victim of cardiac arrest. In the 1970s, Karen Carpenter rose to fame with a voice so pure and tender it could melt hearts around the world. But behind the image of a radiant, world-famous singer lay a life steeped in sorrow. Karen lived under the haunting shadow of her own reflection, trapped in an obsession with perfection that slowly consumed her. She spent years trying to please a mother who favored her brother, and when love finally came, it led her into the arms of famous men who could never truly understand her. Her dream of becoming a mother shattered in a marriage that turned into a private hell. And while the spotlight still called her name, Karen Carpenter slipped away at just 32 years old, taking with her not only one of the sweetest voices the world had ever known, but also a pain that few ever saw. What truly claimed her life? Fame, love, or the impossible standard of perfection she chased? Stay with us until the end, where 10 rare and unseen photos of Karen Carpenter reveal the heartbreaking truth that Hollywood tried to hide. In 1950, in the quiet town of New Haven, Connecticut, a baby girl was born into what seemed like an ordinary American family. Her name was Karen Carpenter, a name that decades later would make the whole world weep. Her father, Harold Carpenter, was a disciplined printer, a man shaped by the values of an older generation. Her mother, Agnes, was the quintessential 1950s homemaker, tidy, devoted, and quietly controlling. Agnes believed, with almost religious certainty, that her eldest child, Richard Carpenter, was a gift from God, a musical prodigy, the family's golden hope. And so, from the very beginning, Karen, gentle, introverted, and quietly observant, grew up in the shadow of her brother. From a young age, Karen was used to being the one chosen last. At home, every compliment, every proud smile belonged to Richard. Yet, ironically, outside on the neighborhood streets, the skinny little girl was often the first to be picked. Quick, daring, and full of unspoken fire. But the moment she stepped back inside her own house, she once again became the gifted boy's little sister. It was in those formative years that Karen learned her first painful lesson, that to be seen, she had to be perfect. When Richard's musical talent began to bloom, Agnes made a decision that would change everything. She sold their small home in New Haven and moved the entire family to Los Angeles, the city of dreams. But it wasn't Karen's dream. They moved for Richard. At just 15, Karen didn't yet know that in that glittering city, where stars were made and broken, she would one day find her voice, and eventually lose herself to it. Karen Carpenter's childhood wasn't filled with laughter, but there was one sound that saved her: the drums. Everything began when she was a teenager at Downey High School. In her music class, there was a boy named Frankie Chavez, the drummer of the school band. One afternoon, as Karen stood outside the rehearsal room, she heard the rhythm of the drums, powerful, chaotic, yet strangely full of order. That wild sound awakened something deep inside the quiet girl who had always lived within silence and restraint. From that day on, Karen started borrowing Frankie's drum set to practice every day. She spent hours in the small garage behind her house, a place where no one cared, where no one compared. In music, she was no longer Richard's little sister. She was herself. She became fascinated. Rhythm to her was the language of freedom, something she had never been allowed to speak during her childhood. Her greatest inspiration was Ringo Starr, the drummer of the Beatles, a symbol of freedom and rebellion whom Karen secretly admired. Ringo owned a Ludwig drum set that cost about $300, a fortune at the time, equivalent to more than $1,500 today. Karen begged her parents for weeks, using all her gentleness and persistence to convince them. And finally, a small miracle happened. they agreed. Every afternoon, the neighbors could hear the sound of drums echoing from the Carpenter family's garage. Not just noise, but the heartbeat of a girl learning to speak through rhythm. Together with her brother Richard and a friend who played the tuba, Karen formed the Dick Carpenter Trio, a small jazz band performing in local clubs around Los Angeles. Every night, Karen sat behind her beloved Ludwig set, head bowed, quietly keeping time for soft, flowing jazz tunes. She didn't need the spotlight. She didn't need to stand before the audience. Deep down, she believed she was only the drummer of the band. Yet, among the smoke and the clinking of glasses, something about her made people turn their heads. Her voice. One night, when the main singer was absent, Karen was asked to fill in. She hesitated, took the microphone, and sang. Her voice was like velvet, clear as crystal, and warm as a whisper in one's ear. The audience fell silent. When the song ended, no one could believe that such a voice came from the quiet girl behind the drums. But Karen kept her secret. "I just want to play the drums," she said. Perhaps because when she hid behind the drums, she felt safe. Safe from comparisons, from the eyes that had always judged her. But destiny wouldn't let her hide forever. At 16, during a small club performance, record producer Joe Osborne happened to hear Karen sing. Astonished, he immediately invited her to record in his studio. The song "Looking for Love" was born, written by Richard, sung by Karen. They placed all their hopes in that first recording, believing it could be their ticket to success. But when the record was released, no one paid attention. It didn't make it onto any chart. It was a complete failure. Yet some failures are destined to become legends. Years later, when the Carpenters became a worldwide phenomenon, that old 45 RPM single was hunted by collectors as a priceless treasure. It's estimated that only about 500 copies still exist, each worth nearly $2,000. A silent relic of the day when a shy girl from Downey found her voice and unknowingly began her path toward immortality. In the mid-1970s, the Carpenters had become a true symbol of America. Platinum albums, chart-topping hits, and the image of a wholesome, all-American brother-sister duo adored by the nation. Even President Richard Nixon once called them the best of America's young people, a title that made the public believe Karen Carpenter was living in perfect happiness. But the truth was very different. Behind the applause and the camera flashes, Karen was still the same little girl she had always been, longing for one thing fame could never buy: her mother's approval. Agnes Carpenter, that stern and unyielding woman, had never changed. She loved Richard with the pride of a mother whose faith had been rewarded. But with Karen, her affection was mixed with control. Even as an international star, Karen could never make her mother say the one simple sentence she needed most: "I'm proud of you." In 1976, while watching a playback of one of her performances, Karen saw herself on screen, radiant, joyful, and a little chubby. That single word was enough to open a dark door in her mind. She hired a personal trainer, followed a strict exercise routine, and monitored every meal with military precision. Yet, when she looked in the mirror, the fit body she achieved still didn't match the slender ideal she imagined. So Karen decided to design her own perfect plan. She began counting every calorie, giving away portions of her meals, and even pretending to eat so no one would notice. During family dinners, Karen cleverly passed her food to others. She would tell stories, laugh, and compliment the meal just to have an excuse to offer her plate around. By the time dinner ended, her food had vanished, without her taking a single bite. But her mother, Agnes, knew. She started insisting that Karen eat in front of her, as if the two were locked in a silent battle, one trying to save, the other quietly self-destructing. As Karen